In today's video, we're going to be talking about why you should never say no when asked if you've got any questions in your interview. Whew. What is going on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Afzal Hussain. You can find out a bit more about me through the social media links below, or you can check out my website, which is www.afzalhussain.com. Now in today's video, we are going to be talking about interview questions. So not questions that you're going to be asked in the interview, but questions that you should pose to the interviewer or interviewers in order to stand out and increase your chances of converting that interview into a full-time offer or an offer for a spring week or an internship. So let's get straight into it. Okay, now first and foremost, it's very, very important to always have a few questions prepared to ask the interviewer. If you are asked or given the opportunity to ask a question and you say you don't have any questions, it immediately looks very bad. It comes across as if you're not interested in the role or the company, or you haven't done your research. So if you are ever given the opportunity to ask a question, make sure you have one in your pocket, at least one. But it's always good to have two questions. One question focusing on the individual interviewing you. So that could be about that person's career, what led them to that seat that they're in now, what they like most about their company, what they do in the spare time, so on and so forth. And the second question being specific to their team or the industry that you are applying to, or the industry that relates most to the team that you're going to be working in. By asking these two types of questions, one to the person and one specifically related to the team or the industry or the company, it shows that one, you're interested and you've done your research, but more importantly, it builds a sort of rapport. It allows you and the individual to have a conversation that's not specifically focused on competency interview questions, technical interview questions, brain teaser interview questions. It kind of takes the whole interview out of the formal interview process and makes it into an informal conversation, and that's what really and truly you want from your interviews. So two types of questions, one focused on the individual and the other focused on the team or the company or the industry that the team focuses on. Look, the truth is there are a lot of candidates who will be bright, there are a lot of candidates who will know their stuff and have done their research. What separates those who get the offers are, for the most part, likability, because it plays into cultural fit, if you can fit into that team, if you can fit into that organization. And so likability generally is very important in order to get you over the line. If you're going to be interviewing someone and if you give them an offer, they're going to be sitting next to you on the desk for 10, 11, 12 hours a day, it's important that you kind of get on with this person and they tend to be somewhat likable. So building a bond is very important. Secondly, by asking two great questions, you're going to show your genuine interest in the role, in the industry and the team. So that's why it's good to have good questions. And then third and finally, you are setting yourself up to follow up. So later on, after the interview, if it went well, you can take their business card or get their contact details or LinkedIn and drop them an email saying thank you. It's very important to send a thank you email because it allows you to, go the extra mile and stand out against candidates that don't send a thank you email. When you follow up and send a thank you email to the person that interviewed you, you can say, thank you, it was great to find out about XYZ, on the back of the questions that you asked them, because most of the interview it's going to be them asking you questions. So at the end you get the opportunity to flip the script, ask them questions and then learn something from that. And if you can relay that back in the follow-up email, it stands out, it shows you are listening, and it can be the difference between them choosing someone else and them choosing you. So always follow up. Once again, I keep saying this, I say it because it's super important. Don't ever say no, you don't have any questions. That's probably the fastest way to get a rejection to the next stage. So don't ever say no. If you're thinking of a question to ask an individual, it could be career related. What brought them into that seat? Why have they ended up in that team? What do they specifically like about the culture or the organization that they're working for? What advice would they have to someone in your shoes seeking a career in fund management or investment banking or sales and trading or operations, whatever it might be? End of the day, people like talking about themselves. So make sure you give them that opportunity, ask thoughtful questions. It doesn't even have to be about career. It could be about outside of work. What do you do? How do you spend your weekends? Because you as an individual are trying to find out what this company's employees do in their spare time. You want to assess if you want to work for this company. From asking good questions, you can gauge what or how these employees spend their time. Make it informal. Don't be too informal, but try and relax a bit. Have a conversation. That's usually a good sign of the interview going well, especially if you're asking the right questions. And then in terms of questions to ask with regards to the team or the industry or the company itself, the more specific you could be, the better, but you don't want to ask them extremely complex questions that they don't even know the answers to, because they might feel challenged or they might think it's unnecessary. You can ask them, what's the top priority in your team right now? What's going on in the industry that's impacting your team? Is there anything that is proving quite challenging in the current market environment? What current market news or topic is impacting your team specifically, or the industry that you're working in? If you're going to ask a somewhat technical question, be able to answer it to a certain degree. So what I mean by this is, if you ask them a question and they say, what are your thoughts? So they ask you, they flip it on you, make sure you have an opinion. It's very, very important to always have an opinion. It doesn't need to be the right answer, but people will value you if you can share an opinion on a certain topic or subject. So always have an opinion. But in terms of questions for the team or the industry or the company, make sure it's a thoughtful question, do your research, and make sure it's something that is of interest to, you know, an individual working in that team. So if it's asset management, it might be pension related. If it's insurance clients, it might be insurance related. If it's in the world of mergers and acquisitions, it will be related to a merger or an acquisition in a specific industry. If it's related to sales and trading, it might be covering a certain asset class or a certain market within that asset class. So make sure you do your research, ask thoughtful questions, and remember, informal conversations are a good sign that your interview is going well. Hopefully this video has been helpful for you. Always remember, ask a question for the employee and then a question for their team relating to the industry and the company overall. The better the questions, the more likely you are to get through to the next round. Flip the script. It's an opportunity for you to ask the interviewer questions, so make sure you are asking thoughtful questions. Always have an opinion, and don't ever say no, you don't have any questions. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you've got any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. And if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.